And more big news coming in. The Supreme Court will today hear the corruption case against CBI Chief Alok Verma. Now, Verma had moved the Supreme Court challenging the centre's decision to divest him of his duties and send him on leave after his feud with CBI No.2 Rakesh Asthana. Alok Verma had filed a response on the Central Vigilance Commission's preliminary probe report on corruption charges against him. Right, another serving CBI officer, M.K. Sinha's plea has generated considerable interest in the Supreme Court. After initially saying no urgency to bring such a plea on record earlier, the top court later decided to hear DIG M.K. Sinha's plea along with Alok Verma's plea. Now, DIG in his intervention application has made grave allegations against the top government functionaries of the alleged interference in the Rakesh Asthana case. Law Secretary Suresh Chandra has rejected all charges levelled against him by DIG M.K. Sinha, says he's never met Satish Sana Babu as alleged by the CBI's DIG M.K. Sinha in his plea in the Supreme Court. My colleague Meenakshi Bhanja, who's been tracking the story very closely, now joining us live from the Supreme Court. Meenakshi, this case taking very interesting turns now. Right before the hearing is about to begin, we're seeing a fresh development coming in. Just in, Law Secretary Suresh Chandra rejecting all these charges. If you can take us through that. One, levelled against him by DIG M.K. Sinha, saying that he's never met Satish Sana Babu as alleged by Sinha in his plea in the Supreme Court.
Well, that's correct, Sanjana. Big breaking news we are bringing to our viewers at this juncture. Law Secretary has responded and along expected lines, perhaps, he has gone on to rebut all these allegations which has been made by another sitting DIG level officer of the CBI. Now, why this is so grave is simply because of this, Sanjana, given the fact that this is another high-level officer who was clearly in the midst of investigating some high-profile cases, and he is telling the Supreme Court in his petition as to how he's been made a scapegoat, and the reason he's been subjected to this en masse transfers is because his investigations yielded, or rather brought forth, certain facts which the top dispensation was mighty uncomfortable with. Not just that, M.K. Sinha is also going on to allege as to how his investigations was sought to be interfered with by these top government functionaries who wanted to influence the outcome of these investigations in a set way. That is a very, very grave charge. Remember, that is also a charge which has been made on an earlier occasion by A.K. Bassi. So clearly, again, a very, very critical day here in the Supreme Court, where Alok Verma's plea now, since all information has emerged on it, including Alok Verma's reply himself, where he has gone on to rebut all these aspects of uncomplimentary findings of the CBC, we have been given to understand. So Supreme Court now is equipped with all necessary information and all due processes have been completed, and therefore, Sanjana, there is this logical perhaps expectation of an outcome to this impasse that has been brewing within the CBI, and clearly the CBI at this juncture is imploding from within. The CBI, it will perhaps take years time to restore the dignity or the original glory of the agency back, and also what is at stake here is for the government to justify this crackdown or the midnight overhaul which it had undertaken in that intervening night, and whether or not that musters approval of the Supreme Court will prove to be very, very critical for the government, because politically speaking, ahead of 2019, the government cannot be seen to be on the back foot so much politically on this contentious issue, which now is being assailed by not just Congress party but virtually every other top opposition leader, from Chandrababu Naidu to Mamata Banerjee, have clearly lambasted the government for what they say is using the CBI as a political tool to settle scores with adversaries. Back to you.
Right, Meenakshi, thank you so much for putting that in perspective. We'll continue tracking the latest and come to you for more on this extremely high-octane hearing that's set to begin very soon.